Jeremy Hill holding down the middle of the day.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios,
It's Hunt and Hill. Now on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Welcome in, Hunt and Hill, on a Thursday from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio downtown in the capital city. I am Hunt Palmer. He is Hill. Jeremy Hill, Casey Gaines, Taylor Sharp back there on the ones and twos. Jeremy Hill, how we doing?
Doing good, man. Ready to talk some Will Wade here.
We are going to talk a little basketball here in the first segment. Will Wade met with the media kind of to preview the team, and I thought there was some really good stuff. So we'll hear from Will Wade here very shortly. Got some LSU Alabama talk, obviously, later in this hour. We'll discuss our Super Bowl contenders at 12:30, as we do on Thursdays. And as we also do on Thursdays, it will be a Throwback Thursday 1 hour from right now. And we've got a player lined up who was a participant in that game at 1:15. So a loaded Thursday show. And we're excited to be here with you. Hope you will hang out with us for a couple of hours. So as I said, let's start with Will Wade. They are inside a week now before they tip it off against ULM on Tuesday. And Will Wade met with the media for about 30 minutes yesterday. And I pulled some of the stuff that I thought was very interesting. This team, a lot's been made of the depth on this team, Jeremy, and a lot is made of that quite often in the Will Wade era because he does such a good job on the recruiting trail as well as using the transfer portal. And you look at guys who were 4- and 5-star players, and you look at guys who'd started other places and produced other places, and you look at measurables, and you look at it and go, man, they've got like 11 guys that can help them this year. And then you realize once you get into November, December, and into January, wait, there's only 7 or 8 guys playing. You're not going to take your best players off the floor just for the sake of playing a lot of guys.
Yeah, you definitely won't. I think especially in college basketball, you want to get through the season. You want to be, primed up for the SEC tournament. You want to be getting ready for the big dance. And during the season, you can get away with that. You are going to be playing some of these, lower schools, non-Power 5 schools. And those are the best times to kind of get some of your young guys minutes. And I know Will Wade, he's going to want to have a tight rotation once SEC tournament time comes rolling around. And obviously the big dance comes rolling around. And the best way to find out that is letting all your guys play and really see what rotations work for you and what lineups work for you. And, put those guys out there to let them have success.
He talked a lot about that. We'll start with the first by guys where he says he wants to play basically an 8-man rotation.
We've got a pretty good idea of what we got. I got a pretty good idea. I think I'm going to talk to the team about it later this week. I've settled into a rotation. I feel comfortable with the 8 guys that are going to be in the rotation. I think all of them are going to get, really good minutes and be able to help us. So I feel like we've settled in, and there's going to be some unknowns when we get in there to game like situations. And hopefully this week we've yet to be able to practice with our top 8 guys. We hadn't had our top 8 guys at practice one time, all of them available, ready to practice. Now, as of today, we have them ready to go today. Now, something could happen between now.
So he says 8. He uses it, and I can tell from listening to the 27-minute press conference, I know who the 8 are. It's Xavier Pinson, Eric Gaines, and Brandon Murray in the backcourt. Those 3. So you've got a transfer from Missouri, Gaines, who's a sophomore, and then a freshman in Murray. You've got Mwani Wilkinson as kind of a swing guy who can play guard, but more comfortable right around the 3. And you've got Days, who we know has played the 5, 4, and 3 at LSU, who's right there as well. Then you've got Tari Eason and Efton Reed, who he loves as his 4 and 5 spots. And then you got Alex Fudge, who is a super athletic 6'9", guy. If you saw the dunk from the scrimmage against Nichols, that's the 8 guys he's talking about. So we'll go to the backcourt and his kind of thoughts on the 3 guys that I mentioned there on Pinson, Gaines, and Murray.
Yeah, we feel really good about Pinson and Gaines and Murray. All 3 of them are guys who we feel great about. They've all played well in certain spurts, and they can play well off of each other. And that's really, at this point, who we're going to roll with in the backcourt. Depending on how Justice feels, that's certainly a possibility. But our intention is to redshirt Justice. That's what we told him we'd do in recruiting. And if we can get through the season without having to use him, I think that would be beneficial to him. That'd be beneficial to our program moving forward. But Justice is a team player. I think if we asked him, I think he'd roll out there and play with us. But I don't think that's the move right now. We have unbelievable amount of confidence in Pinson, Gaines, and Murray, and they're hard workers. They're blue collar. We got more than enough back there to get the job done. Now we can't we can't sustain another injury. That would be problematic for us. But with those guys, I think we've got more than enough in that backcourt to figure it out.
So those are your three guys. Obviously, you're missing Adam Miller, who would have been a huge piece to that backcourt. But, Brandon, I think it's a reasonable mix of experience and youth. Pinson has been a 2-year starter at Missouri and, primary ball handler for them. Gaines played in every game for LSU last year. And then you bring in Brandon Murray, who they're confident in defensively, has done a pretty good job shooting the ball, and is, a sizable kid for just being a freshman. So it's a good little blend there.
Yeah, it is, and I think you can't downplay losing Adam Miller. That's a huge blow for this team. But I like Pinson. He's played a ton of college basketball. You want a guy out there who's played in those environments, who has the experience, and I think he's going to be a great guy to change the pace and really slow things down, get these offense in and out of sets. I am a little worried about the shooting. I don't know how efficient they'll be behind the three-point line, but if some of these guys start knocking down shots, then you start really feeling good when you make some of the bigger guys in the mix.
To me, this is a step back from the Javonte Smart, Cam Thomas backcourt. You had Cam, who is a first-round guy in the NBA draft, who is an NBA talent and is as prolific a scorer as has come through here in some time. You've got Javonte, who was a 3-year starter, an all-league type player, just a warrior and a ball control guy who shot the ball exceptionally well last year. I think you're taking a pretty significant step back in the backcourt here. With Miller, I can make the case that you're staying pretty close. But with these three guys right now, with what I know, I think you've taken a step back in the backcourt. The hope, though, is that you've taken a significant step forward in the front court. This bite's a little bit longer, and I apologize for stretching these out, but Will has long answers, and they're, quite frankly, more information and better information than I can give you from sitting in this chair, than Jeremy can give you from sitting in that chair. So we'll go ahead and talk through what he thinks about his guys in the front court this year.
Our front court is tremendous. I think it's a huge, huge strength of our team. We haven't been able to say that very often. I think all three of them are just, we're going to find a way. I've been tinkering with this. We got to find a way to get all three of them out there on the court together too. We got to play those guys together. I think one of the strengths of our team is our versatility. I was messing around with lineups where we have all three of them out, and we're huge. I was messing around with lineups where Imwani Wilkinson was playing the 5 on offense, and we were playing really, really small and doing some different things. So I'm trying to, I kind of settled on the 8 guys that I know we're going to roll in there, and now I'm trying to figure out the best way we can mix and match and get those guys out there. But 2 of those 3 guys are, the way I envision it is 2 of those 3 guys are going to be on the court the entire time, basically rotating, and they're all 3 great, great players. Days and Tari have some experience. Tari haven't played at Cincinnati last year. And just a rugged player, very, very talented player. And he just wants to be so good. He's got a great desire to learn and to be great. He was peppering me with questions for an hour and a half yesterday on different things, and it was an off day, and he was just peppering me with questions on things. So he's really locked in and he's really worked hard and improved and Days, you guys all know about Days, and Efton, he's a huge weapon. When he's in there, we got to throw that ball into him. I mean, he's a weapon and a half down there, and he can he makes the right play. He's one of the most unselfish. He's one of our best talkers. He just has so much value that he brings to the team.
What did you hear there?
Yeah, I love Shari Eason. I think he's expecting him to come in and play some, rough, ragged minutes on the court, get some rebounds. I know Will Wade loves those guys who can get rebounds. And I think something that you kind of missed last year, everything kind of had to be from perimeter. Guys had to either, shoot jump shots or break the defense down. It's going to be great to have a big and Efton that you can kind of dump the ball to on the block if he has it going, or if you have a mismatch. Obviously, you can get those easy, 2 points and really dominate a team in the paint. And I think also on the other end, you can start running some of those 2-3 zones if you want to mix those in there, have a big guy sitting under the goal, make it really tough for teams to get to the goal. So I'm loving the guys we have that are bigs. I think they can really come in, and when you put Days in the mix there too, it really, tops it off really nicely.
It's going to be, that's the biggest thing for me is Days being able to play where he's supposed to play, because last year he was asked to play the 5 far too often, because all the front court options they brought in fell through, whether it was injury, transfer, not capable of helping, whatever. He had to play the 5 too often, and that's a recipe for him getting in foul trouble, because he is 6'6" down there with 6'10" guys who can play, and that is a recipe to get into foul trouble in a hurry. With him playing the 4, he stretches the 4 out to the perimeter when he's on offense, and he's a rebounding problem when he's dealing with fours. Fives obviously have some size over him. So if Eason and Efton can take some heat off of Days in that respect, I think that's great for Days' progression. And we'll see what Efton can give him on offense. He's felt pretty good about that jump hook and his ability to score around the rim. We know how skilled he is. You can see YouTube videos of him, dribbling between the legs, shooting threes. I don't need to see a ton of that from the 6'10" guy. I don't need that. But the fact that he can do it tells me that he's got some skill and can score around the bucket.
Yeah. You don't wake up and become a 5-star for no reason. You got to have some skill too, and that's what you see when you watch the tape on Efton. Obviously a 5-star All-American kid, and he's going to be a great presence in the paint. I would love to see the offense. If he can bring any offense, if he can score 10 a game, that would be unreal, and I would love that for this team. And then you mix that with rebounds, and now you're looking at a double-double guy as a freshman, and then that's rare to come by as a 5 in this league. So I would love to see what he do. I don't know if I'm loving the Mwandi at center thing, especially watching last year, but I know he's messing around with some small ball stuff, but that's probably the only thing I was a little, I don't know, I got to see that.
We'll see. I don't think Mwani's going to be playing the 5 very often. That sounds a little bit much. All right, and then this is obviously what you can't do is, I've said many times over the last 3 years, I'm burying my head in the sand as far as this NCAA thing goes until they tell me that something's changed. If it hasn't, I'm going out there, I'm supporting the basketball team, I'm getting excited about it. That's just the way it's going to go until something changes. And obviously there have been some reports, Pat Forty's all over this with no new information, but a story that comes out, the same quotes, same stuff, saying that they expect LSU to receive something or some sort of decision to be made pretty quickly. And the question was raised to Will Wade, how do you coach your guys and get them prepared when there's a lot of noise on the perimeter of the program? And this was Will's answer yesterday.
Well, we just narrow our focus. We can't worry about all that stuff. And I always tell our guys, the bigger the game, the narrower the focus. And so, we just lock in on what we have to do, and we don't worry about, you guys can probably tell I don't really care what people think. That doesn't bother me very much. Doesn't bother my guys very much. We're pretty insulated over here from everything that goes on, and we just lock in and focus on our team and focus on winning. At the end of the day, it's about winning, and we've won. We're the winningest program the last 3 years. We're the only team in the league to be in the top 4 the last 3 years, and we're I think it's the first time in 34 years we've won NCAA tournament games back to back. So, we got to win, and at the end of the day, everything else will take care of itself if you win, and that's what we try to focus on. We try to do everything we can to give ourselves the best opportunity to win, and not worry about the distractions. And truth be told, the distractions are usually stuff I have to deal with. Nobody else in the program really has to deal with the distractions. It's usually me that has to deal with it, and I'm built for that. That's what we're good at, and that's what we do. And our players don't even know most of the time what's going on.
I know that he's had quite a few interviews over this 3-year saga, and one as recent as last week, and I can imagine his demeanor in those things. It's just because you can see him smirk when he says that, and we'll see what the result of this thing is. Again, I'm going to bury my head in the sand because I don't know anything. And until I know something other than he's the basketball coach and we've got a good team, I'm going to say we have a good team and he's our coach and let's go play. And that's kind of the way I feel about it. I don't know. I haven't gotten your thoughts on it.
No, I agree with this message. You got to control what you can control at this point. I think you'll be burning the midnight oil trying to figure out what's going to happen and try to figure out, what's next and all these things. All you can do is focus on the day and the task at hand. That's exactly what Will Wade just said. And I believe him. I think winning is very important to this program. He wants to get it done. He wants to win consistently and keep putting these recruiting classes together and continue to battle and compete in the SEC. And the best way to do that is not focus on the outside noise and continue to focus on the task at hand. And that's what this Tiger team is doing.
I can't come up with 5 guys I'd rather have coaching my basketball team. I'll just be perfectly blunt with you. I could come up with a few, but I can't come up with more than 5. And a lot of people say that's ridiculous. What do you have to show for it? Never been to the Elite 8, never been to the Final 4, won the league. I know where this basketball program was. I know what it's been my entire life, and I know what it's been the last 4 years. I like the last 4 years, and he's building something awesome here. He continues to bring great players in. He continues to be a force in terms of roster management. LSU is relevant every single year. The only team in the SEC that's gotten a double bye the last 3 years in the SEC tournament. They won the league 3 years ago. That's the guy I want coaching my team. I don't care what this NCAA thing could not possibly care less. I want that guy coaching my team.
He's a heck of a ball coach, and I love what he stands for. I love the strategy behind it, just in the scheduling of the season that he does. There's so many things that separates him as a college football coach. What a guy. He has his players' backs, and he's a great coach. So, yeah, I'm right with you on that one.
And last soundbite here, moving forward with this team, obviously the last few years have been backcourt dominant, pretty poor defense most of the time, shootouts, high-scoring affairs, exciting, high-flying stuff, and Will Wade says probably don't expect that this year.
It's just different. I don't want to say it's just more kind of blue collar, gritty, grimy. Just it's not going to be as maybe as aesthetically pleasing. We're not going to trot out there and score 100 points. And I mean, there's it's just going to be a little bit more. We're going to go through some scoring slumps, but we're going to be able to get some stops and some rebounds, and we're going to have some toughness to us. We're going to have some. We just got some different. It's going to be different. Doesn't mean it's going to be any less effective. In fact, it could be more effective. We've just got better cohesion. We got better rhythm, and we're scrappier. We're more competitive in some places, and it's just. We're going to have to. It's just different. It's going to look different. People, when you leave there Tuesday, you're going to go, that's very, very, that's very, very different. But I think it's going to be good. It's kind of like, it's more along the lines of what we did at VCU. It's much more along those lines. I'm comfortable with that. I'm comfortable with this. I mean, we're going to sling that ball in the post. We're going to sling that ball in the paint. We're going to be just relentless on the offensive glass. I mean, it's just going to be – we're going to still run the score up now. We're going to still score some points. It's just going to be different.
Going to play some defense, throw that thing in the post, and play a little bit of inside-out basketball. And, hey, I think that'll be a welcome sight to some people around here that are furious about the fact that LSU's defense has been terrible the last couple of years.
Yeah, that's what you want to hear from your head coach. Defensive rebounding. I know in this, and one mixtape era, this TikTok era, everyone wants to see the fancy crossover and the step-back threes, but defense wins championship. That goes for just about every sport, and you could trot out there and hold these teams low. It gives you a way better chance of winning, and it sounds like, man, he's really putting an emphasis on just being more scrappy, being more physical, just being a little more dominant. And you can see this Tiger basketball team play like that with all the talent they have on this roster. They could probably do something this year.
We'll talk more about it coming up on Tuesday. That'll be game day for LSU and ULM in the PMAC. Still got some season tickets left. They're looking to get to 7,000. They're about 100 shy of that. You want season tickets? Call the ticket office or lsutix.net. Get some season tickets for this Fighting Tiger basketball team. I think they're going to be a pretty good product to watch night in and night out. Let's come back and talk a little LSU Alabama football. It's next on Hunt and Hill.
Hunt Palmer and Jeremy Hill. It's Hunt and Hill.
Louisiana sports betting is here. And look, there's no better spot than the FanDuel Sportsbook. Make that your app of choice when you're placing wagers on your favorite sports teams. To celebrate the opening of sports gambling here in Louisiana, FanDuel is giving you $100 in free site credit when you register early. That's right. If you register and verify now, you'll receive a free $100 bonus for when the sportsbook goes live. FanDuel Sportsbook, safe, secure, legal, regulated, and you want to get paid, they pay you. When you win, you get paid in as little as 2 hours. See for yourself why FanDuel is America's #1 sportsbook. Use the promo code WNXX. Again, WNXX is your promo code. Gets you $100 in site credit over there at the FanDuel Sportsbook. FanDuel, proud sponsor here of Hunt and Hill. You must be 21 or older and present in Louisiana. The bonus issued in a non-withdrawable site credit that expires 7 days after FanDuel accepts its first real sports wager in Louisiana. Unique user identity verification is required. The offer ends on the go-live date, and restrictions do apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-877-770-STOP.
We opened up the playbook and expanded our coverage. Listen daily in high definition on 98.1 HD2. We are 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This isn't just another day. It's so much more. Kelly's life was put on hold when her auctioneer primary care doctor discovered a rare blood disorder. Her doctor connected her to an auctioneer care team of cancer, heart, and kidney specialists. With multiple primary care locations around Baton Rouge, same-day appointments, and online scheduling, we're relentless about keeping you healthy. Auctioneer Baton Rouge, innovating healthcare for Kelly.
Starting in 1974, Central Plumbing has served Baton Rouge and surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Through these tough and trying times, we want you to remember that the Payne family is here to continue to support and serve you. As a multi-generational business, there is no job that is too big or too small. Residential, commercial, industrial, hospitality, we're here for anything you need. 24/7, 365. Give us a call, 225-925-8552.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
It's no secret. The best oysters in Baton Rouge are at Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar. Enjoy mouth-watering South Louisiana flavor and oysters from all over the country. And don't forget our nightly drink specials. Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar, located in downtown Baton Rouge.
Eli's always been into grilling. It took us a while to see it, but the signs were there.
What are you doing, Eli?
I knew grilling was my thing. I have been talking about it throughout my career.
Happy with the results?
I am. Got the new grill from barbecueguys.com. It performed great.
My advice, as I always told my boys,
do more of what you're born to do.
Barbecue Guys, for those who were born to grill.
You want cheese on your burger, Pops?
I'll take a little cheese.
Front to Back Boat Service has been family owned and operated for 30 years. And the Sherman family is NMEA certified. That's the National Marine Electronics Association at Front to Back. They are committed to improving the safety and technology of marine electronics through installer training, interface standards. And look, the fall and the winter, it's the perfect time to do that yearly.
Coming up on Fridays, Off the Bench. Who will start at quarterback for the Saints on Sunday, and therefore who will beat the Dirty Birds? Plus the latest in the LSU coaching search. Off the Bench, 104.5 ESPN.
This is Hunt and Hill on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Throwback Thursday coming at you at 1 o'clock, presented as always by Accutemp, service to the highest degree, accutempbr.com. We'll get to that at 1 o'clock. Got to talk about LSU and Alabama this Saturday coming up, Jeremy, and I think conventional wisdom and anybody that looks at this game realistically is going to look at the way that LSU's defense has performed over the last 3 weeks and the way that Alabama's offense has performed the last 3 weeks, really all season, and go, LSU holding this team to 21 points or so is not really in the cards. So I'm not talking about that side of the ball right now. I'm talking about when LSU is on offense against this Alabama team. Your thoughts, if you're Jake Peetz, on how to approach this football game?
Ooh, if I'm Jake Peetz, man, I'd mix it up like I've never mixed it up before. I got to throw some trick plays out there. I think you got to kind of almost throw caution into the wind. I wouldn't be upset if you saw some Lane Kiffin-ish early fourth down.
I was about to bring up Lane Kiffin's name when you said that because I know what you thought about those calls in the Ole Miss game.
Yeah, exactly. I think you have to this week. Bryce Young is cooking, and he's cooking with hot grease. You don't want to give that guy a lead because then you're going to be fighting a really, really uphill battle. Your best chance this game is to continue to put points on the board, keep putting pressure on them. Hopefully you can get an early lead, and hopefully those guys, make some turnovers and mess up. But it's going to be tough, man. But if I'm Jake Peetz and the crew, I'm throwing everything I got. You got to have 4 or 5 trick plays drawn up. You got to have plays off of those trick plays, and you got to find a way to mix some runs in to where they got to respect it.
Every time I try to come up with a great idea, not that I have a lot of play calling experience, exactly none. I called plays for the Powder Puff football tournament for the sororities in 2006 when I was a freshman. That's the extent of my my play calling. So not a lot, but I will tell you that every time I try to come up with an answer here, doesn't look great statistically. LSU's running game has been so bad other than the one game. Okay, so can I really lean on Ty Davis Price? Can I lean on the backs I got back coming with Armani Goodwin, with Trey Bradford? That seems difficult. Okay, so let's test him on the outside. Well, I've lost my number one playmaker in Kayshawn, who I think can beat man-to-man, and so that hurts. I've got Besh and Thomas and Neighbors. Got some young guys. They're going against a pretty talented secondary with Job and the boys back there. Plus, if I want to take shots, I got to block Will Anderson off the edge, who's been a nightmare. There's just there seems to be a counter every time I try to come up with a great idea.
Yeah, that's why it's such an uphill battle, man. Those guys, they're Bama for a reason. They're going to garner the respect that they get year in and year out, especially this season where they're playing. You got to have your hands full with this defense. I know how they feel about LSU. They want to shut out. They want to shut out this team. They want to embarrass us. It's just how things are. It's just what it is with this battle. And that's what you're going to expect for LSU offense. So you got to come out, like I said, maybe throw caution to the wind. Maybe have to go for it on some controversial fourth downs. But if that's what it takes to get points on the board, you got to continue to put points on the board. You can't in this first half with 0 points or 3 points or 7 points. It's going to get ugly real fast if that's the case.
I think about Alabama's motivation in this game, and I think about how Nick Saban thinks. And he's always looking for an advantage, an edge, a way to make a way to tilt things in his advantage. And I wonder if he's not looking at a lame duck head coach that won't be in place after November, and they don't know who the new coach is going to be. And I wonder if he doesn't look at this state that's chock full of really good players that he's very likely made a lot of contact with, and he doesn't want to just absolutely embarrass LSU. Now, that's not been his MO as a head coach. He takes his foot off the gas more so than just about anybody I've seen. Now, he's in position to do that far more than anybody else in the country, but he does that. It's not uncommon for them in some of these games to not score in the fourth quarter. But I wonder if he doesn't want to send a message because the situation has changed and it's a different head coach. I mean, it's a coach that can't really the coach for LSU next year can't defend himself right now on the recruiting trail because he's not in the purple and gold. It's probably a long shot, but it's a thought that I had.
Trust me, if Saban can get his hands on Walker Howard, if he can get his hands on Will Campbell, he's going to try.
Yeah.
And the best way you do that is you stomp LSU and you put them in the dirt. You blow them out the field and you make that recruiting pitch easy, man. You can make the next 3 years of your life very easy. You come over here to Bama and we kick your butt every year, or you can try to go against us and we shake hands after the end of the game. So that's just what it's going to be. Obviously, Nick has pulled the troops off before, but I don't think it's a week for that. I think they're going to go for that shutout and they're going to try to put 50 on us, and that's what you have to expect going into an environment like that.
So you got to show up if you're LSU with a bit of a backbone and ready to roll. We spoke on the Tiger Zone last night. I had gone up and spoken with a lot of people in football ops yesterday, various positions, pay grades, whatnot. And, a group that is a little mentally refreshed after the bye week, and a group that is kind of freewheeling at this point. There's not a lot of pressure in that building right now. I do think that everybody realizes they have a job to do, and they're, as we talked about, working for the future, wherever that may be. And I get the sense they're going to let it all hang out on Saturday. That may result in an absolute disaster. It may result in a team that plays loose and makes a couple of big plays and keeps everybody interested for a while. I have no idea what it's going to look like, but I do know that I think that there's more of a sense of all right, let's go over there.
Oh, yeah, you got to have that. And I think you got to have fun. I think that it has not been very fun this season. No. Hasn't been really moments you can say, probably other than the Florida game where you just felt really good about being a Tiger fan. So I think for this game, you got to go out there and just try to have fun, try to have some early success so the team has some morale, start feeling good about yourself. The last thing you want to do is go into Bryant Denny. You get down 10, 14 points early on that game, and then things just start feeling like how they always are. And then guys are, fans have said it before, guys not wanting to play, guys kind of laying down. You start getting those demons creeping in your head. So I think you got to go out there and fight. You got to start fast, and maybe you can make this a game.
We'll see. We got a lot to talk about. We'll do a ton of LSU and Alabama tomorrow. We'll take a time out here on Hunting Hill. When we come back on the other side, our discussion on the NFL, our Super Bowl contenders. We're starting to narrow that list down pretty significantly. Could be a couple more cuts coming this week. We'll see. That's next on Hunting Hill.
Holding down the middle of the day. This is Hunt and Hill. In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
And our topic today is about savings. What is savings?
Hancock Whitney isn't just a bank for our clients. We're investing in our hometowns, making life better for everyone. So keep dreaming. We've got your back.
It is not too late. You can enroll today at ITI. Winter classes start November 17th. Our industry-driven curriculum will put you on a new career on a fast track. Enroll today for a better life.
Tonight, we invite you to celebrate life, wherever and whenever you can, understanding that time is never on our side. Instead, gather up your friends tonight and share a few stories and laughs over a good bottle of wine. Or maybe a family meal that gives everyone a chance to reconnect and remember what's really important, whether it's for a birthday, an anniversary, or simply to remind someone special that they are loved. Rafino's, where Louisiana comes to celebrate life.
Yo, Jake here for Patient Plus Urgent Care Clinic, the place that's going to be convenient for you during an inconvenient time. Look, you hear me talk about my 4 boys all the time, and sometimes things like stitches, well, they happen. And in fact, they have. And Patient Plus is always taking care of us, just like they'll do the same for you. And now with 7 convenient locations across the Baton Rouge area, open from 9 a.m. until 9 p.m., 7 days a week. And also at PatientPlusUC.com, you can sign up for your appointment on the way to the clinic. That's Patient Plus Urgent Care Clinic. Get in and get better.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Are you a licensed contractor? There's lots of good contractors in Louisiana doing work the right way, but unfortunately, too many unlicensed contractors are working outside the licensing requirements. Working as a contractor in Louisiana requires a license for the company doing the work. The Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors wants to help you get licensed to allow you to conduct work legally. It's not difficult to get the license. We can help you. Go to lacontractor.org for more information. Licensed contractors, it's the law.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
This is a house call. This is a follow-up appointment. This is a diabetes checkup. This isn't just more convenient care, it's more advanced care. This is innovating healthcare.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona, inviting you to join us for Thursday's AFR, presented by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana. Michael Thomas out for the season. How do the Saints proceed? And we'll preview Saints-Falcons with Mike Triplett. Join us, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hunt and Hill, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Out in the open field on a Thursday edition of Hunt and Hill. I want to remind you not to miss the Ragin' Country Crawl benefit concert for Louisiana hurricane victims. this Sunday at 5 o'clock. Concert features Lee Brice, Randy Houser, and Colt Ford. Some country jams over at the Cajun Dome in Lafayette. For more information, visit www.rageandcountrycrawl.com. You can like the ESPN Baton Rouge Ragin' Country Crawl Facebook post. So go to Facebook, go to the ESPN Baton Rouge page, like the Ragin' Country Crawl post, and tag a friend you want to bring for your chance to win a pair of tickets. We got a ton over here at Guarantee Media. So listen all week, and we will announce a winner here on Hunt and Hill. See if you won. Ragin' Country Crawl this Sunday, 5 o'clock. For Hurricane Ida relief. It's 12:30-ish on a Thursday. That's when we always have our little discussion based on Super Bowl teams. We try to pare that list down, and I've probably pared mine down about as far as I'm going to go. We're going to make one little alteration here today, but I think we've kind of got where we're going to be for the rest of the way. Jeremy, you've got one extra on me. I'll go through mine first, and then we'll let you kind of talk about yours. I think the Packers are awesome. They don't need their top two pass catchers. They just go on the road, and Aaron Rodgers is incredible. And as long as they're snapping him the football, they're really, really good. Tampa is great. I don't see them going anywhere even after the loss to the Saints. I believe in the Cardinals. I'm still more buying into the other guys because they're more proven commodities, even Stafford, who's coming up next. But the Cardinals still, you can't ignore what they're doing. So that's my 4 NFC teams, and I'm sticking to them. Clearly, the Cowboys was a miss, as we've talked about many times. In the AFC, I love the Bills. I think they're awesome. I like the Ravens' style of play. They have an identity, and they play to it. So I'm in on them as well. And I still think the Chargers are good, even though they didn't play very well last week. I have to do it. They stink. The Chiefs are not good. Their defense is not good. Mahomes looks lost. They turn the ball over all the time. I'm taking the Chiefs off my list. Take it or leave it. It is November the 4th, and I've given all the rope I can. They're playing a home game against the Giants, and they're on the ropes. I can't. I'm out. I'm out on the Chiefs, so I'm done with them. I've got 3 AFCs, 4 NFCs, and I don't know how anybody's going to fall off here unless somebody significantly gets hurt. But that's kind of where I am.
Yeah. I think we're pretty close here. I'll go through my list and I'll feel about each one. Packers, obviously. I think for me, the dimension that makes the Packers just really crazy this year, you add A.J. Dillon to Aaron Jones, and now they have a run game to go with Rodgers. That could be scary, especially in a playoff environment at Lambeau. They can get home field. That's a very scary sight. And I know Aaron is eager. Mr. John Wick himself, he wants to get back to the Super Bowl. So that's a team that you got to always watch out and look out for. Obviously, Tom Brady, the boys, the GOAT, giving out Bitcoin and stuff out there. So they're feeling good about themselves. And they've been just scoring a ton of points. So they're not going anywhere in the cards, man. I love Kyler. I think getting DeAndre Hopkins back, that's his best weapon. They have the best rapport between each other. I think, obviously, the way that Packers game ended, if Hopkins is in the game, you know where that ball's going, especially one-on-one coverage. So getting him back, I think, is going to be huge.
You were still in the league when they hired Cliff Kingsbury. Was there any reaction to that?
Man, it was crazy because we were mind blown by some of his stuff that he was bringing into the league, and dudes were kind of laughing at it. Cliff was like one of the first coaches to say players can have their phones in meetings. It's no big deal. Scheduled nap times throughout the day for the players.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So he just brought in some just weird, quirky little things that the NFL's never seen. You kind of laugh at the stuff, but honestly, it's working. You have a locker room where you trust the veterans, you trust the players, you have leadership in Kyler Murray. You know that guy's not going to screw anything up. It can work. And so I think, and then you match that with the way he calls plays on offense, that they're cooking right now. So, guys kind of laughed at it at first, but now you're starting to see guys are buying into it, and that's what you got to have for an NFL team.
Now, we didn't know this at the time. We didn't know Patrick Mahomes was Patrick Mahomes at the time. But we're talking about now, in hindsight, a 500 college coach in a bad conference with the best quarterback on the planet. Like, how does that equate to being remotely successful in the NFL? It's been kind of a steady climb over his first few years, but this team looks really good. That hire should have never worked, and it's been good.
Yeah, I think you have Kyler Murray. That's a great start. One of the more electric quarterbacks that this league is. I don't know if they'll ever figure him out because you got a guy who can throw the ball as accurately as he can consistently, leading the league in completion percentage. But those legs, man, he's so fast, so electric. It's just really hard to game plan for. And if you give that kid weapons, obviously he would have loved to have Hopkins for that full game against the Packers, but you give him his full slate of weapons week in and week out, they're going to score, and they're going to score a ton of points. So I love what Cliff's doing over there. He's one of the better offensive mind, better play callers in the league, and you're seeing that on full display week in and week out. And then obviously the Rams, I love everything they're doing over there. And then you add Von Miller to that mix. It doesn't have to be, Super Bowl MVP Von Miller. But
What is it? What are they getting?
I mean, he has 5 sacks already this season. And I mean, what are we, 8 games in?
Yeah.
So, shoot, if he finishes his season 12, 13 sacks, that's crazy to pair on top of Aaron Donald and that defense where they're playing with Ramsey and the crew. And that offense, that's something, man. They put all the chips in the middle of the table.
I love that. I love it. Go win a championship.
Yeah, they don't have a pick next year until the 5th round. So
who cares? You got jewelry and a trophy and a parade. The 5th round can wait.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm all in that. You get a small window. You've seen teams do it time and time again, and that window passes. Then you never know when you're going to get back. It's so hard to get it done. So when you have that opportunity and you have that window, I'm all for these owners going out there and getting it. So those are my NFC teams. I feel really good about those guys, and it's going to shock you. I don't think I'm moving off anyone on my AFC. I'm going to hang out, and this is why. The leader in the AFC West, they are at 2 losses. The Chiefs are 2 games back.
Yep.
They still play the Raiders twice. The Chargers, they've been losing. They're only 1 game back of the Chargers, so they're right there in the hunt of everything. And then I think, let me check the AFC North. I'm sure the Browns aren't too far back from the Ravens.
Well, the Bengals lost, and I mean, we talked about the Bengals last week in this segment, and then all of a sudden they do what they did. So it's just like, okay, that was nice, fool's gold.
So they're 2 games back of the lead in the AFC North, and they still play some of these teams. So I'm gonna hang out. I know it's easy to jump off, and I jumped off the Titans.
Hey, it's admirable.
Yeah. I'm hanging in because I know Mr. Magic Mahomes can get hot, and that would be very scary. And I know the Browns.
He looks terrible.
Yeah.
Now, the first interception he threw in the game last weekend was not his fault. It went off his receiver's helmet and went up in the air, and they intercepted it. I get it, but they're just clunky on offense. They've been the sleekest, most efficient, exciting team in the league for 3 years, and then they just look out of sorts all of a sudden.
Yeah, I think like I said, man, my rookie year, I'll never forget saying this. Hugh Jackson said they will scratch where it itches. They can't get big plays when teams are running too high safeties. Teams are putting their safeties too high deep, 15, 20 yards down the field, and they're saying, you can't have Tyreek deep. You can't have Hardman deep. We're making you dink and dunk this ball, and you're going to have to run it down our throats. And it's just every team has run that all year long, and they haven't countered it. The Bucs was the first team to implement it in the Super Bowl, and you've seen every single team run that same defense, and Andy Reid just hasn't figured it out. Now, I trust Andy Reid. I know he's burning the midnight oil trying to figure this thing out. In this league, you can't cook with the same grease over and over. You're going to get burned eventually. So I think the Chiefs will eventually figure this too high safety thing out, and when they do, they're going to come roaring, man. It's one guy I'll die on that hill for, and that's Mahomes. I know he's playing bad right now, but I've seen too much from that kid to just say he's going to just tail off and be a bum for the rest of his career. I think they can find it.
But if say they don't ever get it in gear this year and they finish 10-7 and miss the playoffs, lose in the first round, whatever, but the offense never really gets it in gear, maybe they go 9-8, whatever. All that still sounds weird because you had those numbers in your head and you got to change them all now. But Eric Bieniemy has been the hottest name in coaching and hasn't gotten that opportunity just yet. Does that hurt his candidacy if they have a year where it doesn't look as good?
I don't think so, because I'm a guy I always like to look at context, and I think the front office kind of missed with some of these. They say the Chiefs got their O-line. They invested in the O-line. Yeah. A lot of those signings that they did, they're not working out. If you look at Pro Football Focus, their offensive line isn't blocking well, and teams are only rushing forward time and time again. They're one of the least blitz teams in the league, and that tells you that your offensive line isn't holding up. And then everyone saw the Super Bowl. They saw Mahomes running for his life. It looks a lot like that this season. And when you can't hold the ball and give Tyreek time to run down the field and run some of these double move routes, you're going to see what you're seeing. You're going to force Patrick to create magic time and time again. And unfortunately, he hasn't been able to pull the rabbit out the hat this year. But I'm going to say he's going to figure this thing out, man. I'm going to have to see a full season of this for me to really not really believe in it. It's just you don't throw for that many yards and do the things he's done, and they just tell off like that.
And as clunky and inefficient as their offense has looked at times, you still turn on the TV and you watch Mahomes throw like some right off his knee sidearm flip, no-look thing through. It looks like a shortstop charging a chopper, winging it to the first. It's still really fun to watch, even when it's not producing a lot of first downs.
Yeah, no, it's must-see TV, and it's a reason why he's so highly regarded throughout football, because the things he can do, even like that throw he made in the Super Bowl, he's like sidearm like he's in a movie scene, just chunking the ball 30 yards down the field. It's just those throws and those things that he does, you don't see time and time again. So I'm going to have faith in Bieniemy. I'm going to have faith in Andy Reid that they have everything there. I can see if, Kelsey was out for the year, Tyreek's out for the year, Mahomes is kind of out there trying to wing it by himself. You still got your guys. You still got your weapons. They got to figure out a way. They're 2 games back of the division. They got to figure out a way to get back in this thing.
I cut them. They're out. So my group is just Packers, Bucks, Cards, Rams, Bills, Ravens, Chargers. That's it for me. Jeremy's got Packers, Bucks, Cards, Rams. In the NFC, AFC, Bills, Ravens, Browns. I got them out. Chiefs, I got them out. Chargers. Throwback Thursday, presented by AccuTemp. Coming at you in 15 minutes. We'll close out hour 1 next on Hunt and Hill.
104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge with Hunt and Hill. Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
If you're in an accident, a car accident, a slip and fall where you're injured, you need to call an attorney. The defendant insurance company, it's their goal to close the case as quickly as possible and pay out the least amount of money as possible. That's why it's important to call an attorney and call the law office of O.C. Brown.
At the law office of O.C. Brown, we're a family-owned firm. We want to be your law firm for a lifetime.
ServiceMaster Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact ServiceMaster Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. ServiceMaster Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
This isn't just another day, it's so much more. Kelly's life was put on hold when her Ochsner primary care doctor discovered a rare blood disorder. Her doctor connected her to an Ochsner care team of cancer, heart, and kidney specialists. With multiple primary care locations around Baton Rouge, same-day appointments, and online scheduling, we're relentless about keeping you healthy. Ochsner Baton Rouge, innovating healthcare for Kelly.
Starting in 1974, Central Plumbing has served Baton Rouge and surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Through these tough and trying times, we want you to remember that the Payne family is here to continue to support and serve you. As a multi-generational business, there is no job that is too big or too small. Residential, commercial, industrial, hospitality, we're here for anything you need. 24/7, 365. Give us a call, 225-925-8552.
It's no secret. The best oysters in Baton Rouge are at Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar. Enjoy mouth-watering South Louisiana flavor and oysters from all over the country. And don't forget our nightly drink specials. Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar, located in downtown Baton Rouge.
Eli's always been into grilling. It took us a while to see it, but the signs were there.
What are you doing, Eli?
I knew grilling was my thing. I have been talking about it throughout my career.
Happy with the results?
I am. Got the new grill from barbecueguys.com. It performed great.
My advice, as I always told my boys,
do more of what you're born to do.
Barbecue Guys, for those who were born to grill.
You want cheese on your burger, Pops?
I'll take a little cheese.
Front to Back Boat Service has been family owned and operated for 30 years. And the Sherman family is NMEA certified. That's the National Marine Electronics Association at Front to Back. They are committed to improving the safety and technology of marine electronics through installer training, interface standards.
It's week 10 in the prep football season, and we get started Friday with Louisiana Prep Preview presented by Brock, the Baton Rouge Orthopedic Clinic, at 6 p.m. And we'll wrap up the night at 10 with a full 2 hours of the Lake Urgent Care Lake After Hours Louisiana Prep School Board Show on Your View, YouTube, and 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hunt and Hill on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
So as we move towards the second half of the college football season, obviously the focus around here is going to be on LSU's next football coach. And we continue to watch teams play. We know the names that have been rumored by sports writers and the names that make sense in terms of relationships with Louisiana or recent success at smaller programs or whatever the case may be. And I think a lot of people are kind of have their mind changed week to week based on some of the things they see on television or the things they look up or read or interviews they hear. I kind of tossed to you. We hadn't talked about it this week in terms of who the coach may be. Have you watched week to week or paid attention to anybody that maybe catches your eye or anything that has changed your focus on this coaching search?
Yeah, I got two fronts on that. I think first front, I think Scott Wilber's doing a phenomenal job because for the people in the know, I haven't heard a thing.
Love it.
I haven't heard a thing.
Work in the dark.
I've been poking bears. I've been trying to find out some stuff. It's hard. He's running a tight ship, and you love to see that. So I hope it stays that way going forward. And I think for me, I think I'm still on my names that I had at first. I know a lot of people are kind of thrown off on Lane because of the Auburn game, but I still think if you give him the recruits he'll be able to get on defense at LSU, he's got to make sure that offense is rolling, and he'll finally have a defense to back him. And obviously everyone saw what Mel Tucker did, that huge comeback win at home, just galvanizing his troops and finding a way to beat that Michigan team. I still believe in Mel and obviously Lincoln. I think if I had to switch some stuff around, I'd probably put Lincoln number one on my list. I think I love Lane, but I think Lincoln, the thing that's going to unlock this LSU program, he knows how to recruit quarterbacks, man. He's had so many different quarterbacks come into that offense, and we've seen the quarterback turnover at LSU and not have the success with the offense. That never happens at OU. He switches them out year in and year out, and they still are, top 5 in offense every single year. So that's the type of guy you want to have. So I may have to throw Lincoln a little higher because I know how important the quarterback position is in the LSU Go, Joey B, baby. So everyone should know that in Tigerland.
When I'm watching, full disclosure, I did not watch Michigan State, Michigan. I was up in New York, and we were on the move. We were actually at a show when that game was going on. The show was fantastic, by the way. Come From Away. Go see it. Very good. So I did not watch that game. But I did watch some of Ole Miss Auburn when your wife's 6 months pregnant and you go to New York and she walks 4 miles a day. You got to build in some feet elevation time back in the hotel room. So when we went back to take a nap before dinner, I was watching a little bit. And then Ole Miss Auburn was after dinner when we got back home. Was watching some of that. And Lane going for these 4th and 6s is a lot for me to swallow. And I think a lot of the time we've talked about how it's analytics. We've talked about how he doesn't trust his defense. He's trying to score. He believes in some of these analytics that say you've got to go for it, and they go for it more than anybody. 4th and 6 ain't high percentage. I don't care who your quarterback is, and he's done that like multiple times, and that's kind of irritating me a little bit. So I still think he would do a great job here at LSU, but that's something that I have noticed now that I'm watching and paying attention to those type of things, that I can't get on board with some of these calls when there's field goals available or when you're deep in your own territory and you're giving the ball away, going for 4th downs that just aren't high percentage.
Yeah, I think Fred Jackson and I in the Bayou Fort chat kind of had a great conversation about that last night on Tiger Zone. And my thing was, I don't think Lane is going to do that when he has a bunch of 4 and 5 stars on his defense. He won't have to. You'll feel a lot more comfortable punting the ball when you actually have a chance of stopping people. And you look at the games that Ole Miss has lost. Bama offense did whatever they wanted. Auburn ran it down their throats. You predicted that.
Yeah.
Bixby did what he wanted. Hunter, that they just did. And Bo Nix had a great game that game. So I think you give Lane a defense that he can really trust and, hand the keys to a coordinator he can trust and really get stops. And I think we all saw that tandem in Bama when that offense was flying high and he had a defense to back him. They were really tough to beat. And I think he can run a similar system like that if he got a program like LSU.
Mel Tucker's got to get his guys ready for Purdue this week. They go on the road to Purdue. That's a game where teams that have a great record. But they aren't great teams. They're not Ohio State, Alabama level teams. They're not Clemson level teams. They're not LSU 19 level teams. Fall on their face. We saw Iowa do it, and he's just got to make sure his guys don't come off an emotional win and then flop when they're looking ahead at games against Ohio State down the road. So we'll see if Mel Tucker's team comes out focused and handles Purdue team that's not very good. So we'll see what Mel Tucker's got in there. Anybody else kind of piquing your interest? You paying any attention to Napier? That's their games are tough to pay attention to. It's the Fun Belt. I get it.
Yeah, it is. I think Napier. I think it would be a great story. I think it would be a great feel-good story. But I don't know. Something in my guts tell me, Woodward isn't gonna sign a coach at this point and pay him that type of money who hasn't even won his own division in the Sun Belt. So I think there's some other guys you can go to. Do I think if Napier did get the job, he would do a terrible job and run the program to the ground? No, I don't think that. But I just have a feeling that Woodward's got to put that money to a name that these people can get behind.
We shall certainly see. I think that's going to dictate a lot of our conversation kind of moving forward. I see on Twitter a ton of LSU fans constantly critiquing and evaluating the way teams are performing. I think week to week it's a little bit dangerous to do that, but when you discover trends like Lane continuing to go for 4th and 6s, it's maybe something worth discussing for sure. But a lot to get to there. That's hour number 1 in the books. If you missed it, 1045ESPN.com on demand. You can always catch things on YouTube. That channel's driven by Bayou Ford. When we come back on the other side of this timeout, time to throw it into the Wayback Machine. It's another Throwback Thursday. It's LSU and Alabama week. AccuTemp got your Throwback Thursday coming up next on Hunt and Hill.
There it is, the extra mile. On the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further. Like vans customized for work or play. With safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Our topic today is about savings. What is savings?
Hancock Whitney isn't just a bank for our clients. We're investing in our hometowns, making life better for everyone. So keep dreaming. We've got your back.
It is not too late. You can enroll today at ITI. Winter classes start November 17th. Our industry-driven curriculum will put you on a new career on a fast track. Enroll today for a better life.
Tonight, we invite you to celebrate life, wherever and whenever you can, understanding that time is never on our side. Instead, gather up your friends tonight and share a few stories and laughs over a good bottle of wine. Or maybe a family meal that gives everyone a chance to reconnect and remember what's really important, whether it's for a birthday, an anniversary, or simply to remind someone special that they are loved. Rafino's, where Louisiana comes to celebrate life.
Yo, Jake here for Patient Plus Urgent Care Clinic, the place that's going to be convenient for you during an inconvenient time. Look, you hear me talk about my 4 boys all the time, and sometimes things like stitches, well, they happen. And in fact, they have. And Patient Plus is always taking care of us, just like they'll do the same for you. And now with 7 convenient locations across the Baton Rouge area, open from 9 a.m. until 9 p.m., 7 days a week. And also at PatientPlusUC.com, you can sign up for your appointment on the way to the clinic. That's Patient Plus Urgent Care Clinic. Get in and get better.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Are you a licensed contractor? There's lots of good contractors in Louisiana doing work the right way, but unfortunately, too many unlicensed contractors are working outside the licensing requirements. Working as a contractor in Louisiana requires a license for the company doing the work. The Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors wants to help you get licensed to allow you to conduct work legally. It's not difficult to get the license. We can help you. Go to lacontractor.org for more information. Licensed contractors, it's the law.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
And injury lawyers.
1, 2, 3.
Hunt and Hill. Tom Palmer, Jeremy Hill, holding down the middle of the day. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio, it's Hunt and Hill. Now on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Fast moving first hour, and we know the second hour is going to move just as quickly because, as you know, when we enter the second hour on a Thursday, that means it's time to throw it back in the Wayback Machine.
Throwback Thursday, presented by AccuTemp, your AC and electrical experts.
Now he's going to roll back to the near side, and he's going to throw it. Oh, it's going to be caught! Caught! Touchdown! Holy cow!
Hunt and Hill's Throwback Thursday.
You know, I'd never walked into a full stadium over an hour before kickoff before. You know, down south, we generally take as much time as possible to fill our bellies with some smoked meats, get some liquid courage into the system, push it as close as we can before entering the game to kick off. But not this time. Not this night. On November 5th, 2011, I walked into Bryant-Denny about 2 hours before kickoff, and I ascended the elevator to the press box and ambled over to my assigned seat. And I unloaded my belongings, and I did what was customary. I went down to field level before the game. As a beat writer at the time, I would always walk the sidelines before the games. If somebody was presumed injured, I'd check it out, watch them move around. It adds color to my eventual story. But on this night, it wasn't about the players. It was about an event. Over an hour before the 7 o'clock kickoff, Bryant-Denny Stadium was full, and I mean full. Dixieland Delight blared over the PA. The shakers in the student section were shaking. The nerves were building for everyone involved in that stadium. There was a palpable chill in the air that night as two teams destined for a head-on collision finally took the same field. Now rewind it 8 weeks. LSU had just ripped through a top 5 Oregon team by a final tally of 40-27. The result elicited a post-game remark from Ducks head coach Chip Kelly that proved to ring true. He said, "That's a different kind of athlete over there." And that's coming from a coach fresh off a national championship game appearance. Over the next 2 months, LSU laid waste to 7 more opponents by a combined score of 271-65, an average of 39-9. Charles Handegriff took to the Eagle 98.1 game day airwaves after the win over the Ducks and said, "Look, we're not going to turn this into an 8-week Alabama pregame show." Well, as the saying goes, sorry, Charlie. That's what it was. As the Tigers pummeled a ranked Mississippi State team on the road, the eventual Orange Bowl champ, West Virginia, on the road, blue bloods like Auburn and Florida, all eyes were set on Tuscaloosa. The Tide dealt its foes a similar fate to LSU's. Alabama's defense had allowed less than 7 points per game over its first 8 wins. When LSU and Alabama had disposed of Auburn and Tennessee, respectively, on October the 22nd, the stage was then set. It would be the first meeting of numbers 1 and 2 in the history of the Southeastern Conference, and it was dubbed the game of the century. This is the story of that night. The buzz inside the stadium reached a crescendo as the Tide took the field. It's one of the more intimidating entrances in all of college football if you've never seen it. The Jumbotron camera fixates on an empty home tunnel for about 10 to 15 seconds as the crowd buzzes. And then Nick Saban leads his team around the corner into sight of the camera, and the place goes absolutely unglued as they march in unison towards the camera in the field. The teams both stormed the Bryant-Denny Field turf, and we were set for a classic in Tuscaloosa. Now, you know how this game went, and you remember the big plays, and so it's more the rhythm of the game that I want to convey here. Alabama controlled this game in the first half, make no mistake. The Tide executed some offensive plays, they made some sizable gains, and as you know, they couldn't convert them. The Tide and sophomore quarterback A.J. McCarron took the football first, and the first play was a handoff to Trent Richardson for an 18-yard gain. The second play was a busted coverage by LSU that resulted in a 30-yard gain for Trent Richardson through the air down to the LSU 30-yard line, and the home crowd was roaring in delight. But after that, the Tigers tightened the screws on defense and forced a 44-yard field goal try from long-distance field goal kicker Cade Foster, and he pulled it left. LSU would take over with starting quarterback Jarrett Lee. The senior was giving the starting nod in August after a bar fight left Jordan Jefferson suspended for the first month of the year. Jefferson had essentially been the team's starter for 2 years up to that point, but Lee had played admirably in Jefferson's absence. Lee had led the SEC in passing efficiency. He'd only thrown one interception the entire season. Jefferson had played sparingly since his reinstatement and was actually used on a QB sneak to get a first down on LSU's first drive. But that drive ended with a Brad Wing punt that went out of bounds inside the Alabama 5-yard line. Again, Alabama would move the ball. From the 5-yard line, they'd march all the way inside LSU territory, thanks in big part to a 16-yard run from Eddie Lacy. And again, LSU's defense would hold, and they would force a 50-yard field goal try, this time again from Foster.
He's 1 for 4 this year with 2 misses from 53. Wide right.
I don't think that was deep enough either, was it?
Nope.
I don't think that would have made it if it was.
So no blood had been shed, though the Tide had moved the football with about 2 minutes to play in the first quarter. But the first huge play of the game was coming 3 snaps after Alabama's second missed field goal.
Remember, it was Dante Hightower last time.
They bring 4. Low snap. Lee picks it up, drills it, intercepted. That's his first interception since Mississippi State.
Lee dropped the snap. He rushed the throw. It's something he hadn't done all year, but Alabama was in business near midfield. And immediately, Alabama hit a 19-yard pass play on the first play of the second quarter. Richardson got loose for 10 more yards on a draw, and then the Tide got cute. That would be a theme on this night. And they tried a reverse. And on the reverse, Marquise Mays tripped and lost 6 yards. Alabama couldn't recover from that, and they had to settle again for a field goal. This one, 49 yards. Saban had seen enough of Cade Foster, so he brought out Jeremy Shelley, the short-distance kicker, instead of Foster. That didn't change the results, though.
From 49. McCarron will hold. Blocked. Picked up in the air. And LSU's Eric Reed hurdles a man. Special teams.
LSU would make the switch at that point to Jordan Jefferson at quarterback, and his first snap of the drive was an option gain for 6 yards. That would, again, be a theme. But after one first down, LSU would punt it back to Alabama again. Brad Wing, the greatest snub in Ray Guy Award history, pinned Alabama inside the 5 again. But Alabama would go 75 yards, and they would finally convert, this time with a field goal from just 34 yards out. Shelley on the kick. I mentioned the flow of the game. Look, to that point, with 3 minutes and 53 seconds to play in the first half, so almost a half in the books, Alabama had 206 yards of offense. They had plays in the game of 10 yards, 19 yards, 20 yards, 18 yards, 22 yards, 17 yards, 12 yards, 39 yards. That's 8 sizable gains that they had gotten. LSU to that point had 42 yards total and one play over 10 yards, plus they had turned the ball over with a pick. Bama was executing some plays. LSU was doing nothing on the offensive end. Alabama had totally dictated the flow of the game. But LSU did counter with his final drive before the half. The option hit a couple more times to Michael Ford, but the biggest play came on a coverage bust by Alabama. Jordan Jefferson launched downfield to a wide-open Russell Shepard, but the throw was a little bit behind Shepard, who came and turned back towards it, caught it facing the line of scrimmage, and then just fell down at the Alabama 8. He could have walked in if he stayed on his feet, but he fell backwards. So LSU had first and goal with 53 seconds to play in the half. They ran it a couple of times, then they got a defensive holding call, and that set up a first and goal from the 2 with 15 seconds left in the half. Crunch time. LSU had just one timeout, so they threw it in the end zone, incomplete pass with 9 seconds left. Then LSU tried to pound Spencer Ware right up the middle, but he was stuffed at the 1-yard line, and Les got a timeout with 1 second left from the 1-yard line and elected to kick the field goal instead of plunge it in before the half. Drew Allemond knocked it through. It was 3-3 at halftime, again, in a game that yardage-wise, Alabama had controlled. The teams traded punts to open the second half, but Alabama's defense delivered the first big blow of the third quarter when Jarrett Lee came back into the game for Jordan Jefferson.
Pass was intercepted. Backs in the eye. Play action. He goes deep. His second pass is intercepted. Mark Barron flies down the sidelines, spins, and is taken down at the 3.
Lee was backing up, just threw it into traffic, and just was not a very good play. Alabama looked to be on the doorstep there on the 3, but there was an illegal block in the back on that return to move the ball back to the 35-yard line. LSU's defense again stiffened, and Alabama settled for a 46-yard field goal from Cade Foster. That one he made. He was grinning ear from ear when it went through like a guy who was just so relieved he had finally done something to help the team, and he jogged back to the sideline. It was 6-3 Alabama at that point. LSU would ride Michael Ford in that speed option inside the Alabama territory on the next drive, and then they would punt and pin Alabama back at the 11-yard line. Alabama would get a pair of first downs, but it was time for a star-studded LSU defense to make a play of its own.
Play action. McCarron. Again, the rush. Behind him. Intercepted. Picked off by Morris Claiborne. To the 20. Down to the 15. First Alabama turnover tonight.
I was a young reporter in the press box that night, and I was screaming internally, mind you, when Claiborne caught that ball. You got to go score! You got to go score! And Claiborne motored down the sideline. He didn't score, but he did set up LSU inside the red zone. 3 runs from there netted just 2 yards, and LSU sent Drew Allemond back out, and he knotted the score with a 30-yarder on the second snap of the fourth quarter. So we're now tied with the fourth quarter to play. It was Alabama's next drive that may be the most famous of that fateful night. Here's what looked like the biggest play of that drive at the time.
Second. Fake the reverse, give it to Richardson. Breaks a tackle. Well, oh my goodness. There you go.
Jeremy, that guy terrified me every time they broke the huddle. That was a rip-roaring run by Trent Richardson. It sent the crowd into a frenzy. LSU's defense looked a little bit tired, and Richardson looked like the most dangerous guy on the field. Just give him the ball, right? They did not just give him the ball. He was just getting so much stronger, and they got cute at the 28-yard line.
A.J. McCarron way down here.
Yep.
He can throw.
Hayes puts it up. Has to wait on it. Got it. Michael Williams.
Oh, Mike. Which way? Which way? Intercepted.
Oh, no. Eric Reed. I thought sure that Williams had it.
Eric Reed with the play of the year for LSU when a ball he wrestled away from Michael Williams near the goal line. They would review the play, and it was correct. Eric Reed wrestled it out before they both crashed into the turf, and LSU took over at its own 1-yard line with 11 minutes to play in the football game. Pressure clung to every single snap. It had been like that for 2 hours, but it was even more so now. The Tigers would run 3 times from the shadow of their own goalposts, and they would punt. And the punt was one of the biggest plays of the game. In a contest where every single yard felt like a win, Alabama had a chance to take over in great field position with 9 minutes left in a tie ball game. But Brad Wing saw to it that good field position wasn't going to be an option for the Tide in this instance.
Now, the longest punt return allowed by LSU this year is 7 yards.
He got this one, though.
This one,
look at this.
It's over his head.
Oh, see, now Mays' ankle hurt him on this play. You've got to catch that ball. It cost his team 30 yards.
Marquise Mays was banged up. He couldn't get over to catch the punt. The ball bounded 25 yards on the ground. It was a 73-yard rocket off the Skycam wire that flipped the field and set Alabama up at its own 18-yard line. No one would cross midfield the rest of the way in regulation. We were headed to overtime, tied at 6. Now, in the overtime period, Alabama absolutely self-destructed. After a first down incompletion, the Tide was flagged for breaking the huddle with 12 men on the field. That moved them back to the 30. With the field goal kickers in total disarray, it was 3rd and 15. Alabama tried to throw the ball, and McCarron got sacked back at the 35-yard line. So Nick Saban didn't have a choice. he had to send Cade Foster out for a 52-yard field goal.
Will hold it. Cade Foster will attempt it. He does have one from 46 tonight. No.
It was not even close. Landed in the end zone about 15 yards left of the left upright. So out came LSU, and they went back to Old Faithful, what had worked all night for them, the speed option.
Second down. Option. Oh, he just did get rid of it. Ford down the sidelines.
They stepped out. They
Out of
called him
bounds.
out. They
Out of
called him
bounds. There
out.
was no touchdown call.
They called him out on the 7-yard line.
Yes.
Yeah, he didn't score, but the damage at that point was done. I looked on from the LSU sideline. I was flanked by what seemed like thousands of media members and others gathering around. LSU would run it 2 more times. They would lose a yard on those 2 plays, and Les decided that third down was the time to try the field goal. And they sent out Drew Alamo to finish the game.
All right, for the win, Alamo. A 25-yarder. Alabama will be coming hard for this one. Snap, place, kick, in the air. LSU wins. I can tell you for sure now, LSU wins. Alamo with a 25-yard field goal. And in overtime, the LSU Fighting Tigers, and I'll say it again, proves that they are the #1 team in the nation as they have beaten Alabama for the 2nd consecutive year. They beat them here, and again, LSU wins on the road in Tuscaloosa. Final score in overtime, LSU 9, Alabama 6.
And so the game of the century was over, and LSU was victorious. Many outside the SEC footprint complained that neither team scored a touchdown. They said it was an ugly game. They said it was bad football, and that's all an opinion, and you're welcome to yours. Here are the facts. That night, 45 NFL draft picks took the field. 45. There were 14 first-round picks on the field that night. 6 of them would be taken in the first round of the following draft. There were 6 top 10 picks on the field that night. There were 8 players in that game that have played in a Pro Bowl. 19 total Pro Bowls on the field that night. Say whatever you want. It's the most intense football game I have ever seen, and that's today's Throwback Thursday presented by AccuTemp.
Man, what a game. What a game. I still remember that game like yesterday. I guess it's LSU tradition, and I kind of love it. You know, after we got that big win in overtime, probably a good 20 to 30 members on the team, they go right to the Alabama student section. Come to LSU, come to LSU, come to LSU. And just, you know, fire everyone up just in that hostile environment. And Bryant-Denny, that game was just an emotional roller coaster, just so much physical play, turnovers, you know, special teams, missed field goals, you name it. And 2 coaches just really going down to it, just battling, just old school style football, run the ball, play solid defense. And that's what you got in that game. And it's one of the games that'll go down in the ages, man. Not probably lovely on the box score, but a very, very memorable game and very physical one.
We're going to spend the next 30 minutes talking about it. We've got a player coming up in the next segment, and then I want to add some more as that was one of the most unbelievable spectacles I've ever seen. We'll add to that coming up at 1:30. But I want to remind you about AccuTemp and what they're offering you right now. It is a phenomenal deal you're going to want to take advantage of. They're offering everybody their friends and family discounts, which means you can save over $4,000 on a new air conditioning installation. Call AccuTemp and get your new AC for as low as $80 a month. They will let you put a payment plan in place. You can replace your air conditioner. It's a great time to do it, and do it for $80 a month. AccuTemp, they'll give you service to the highest degree. It's a Throwback Thursday. They bring it to you every week. We'll have a player from that fateful night in Tuscaloosa when we come back on Hunt and Hill.
Serving up the latest from the sports world. It's Hunt and Hill. We opened up the playbook and expanded our coverage. Listen daily in high definition on 98.1 HD2. We are 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
And our topic today is about savings. What is savings?
Hancock Whitney isn't just a bank for our clients. We're investing in our hometowns, making life better for everyone. So keep dreaming. We've got your back.
This is a house call. This is a follow-up appointment. This is a diabetes checkup. This isn't just more convenient care, it's more advanced care. This is innovating healthcare at Louisiana's #1 hospital, Ochsner.
If you're in an accident, a car accident, a slip and fall where you're injured, you need to call an attorney. The defendant insurance company, it's their goal to close the case as quickly as possible and pay out the least amount of money as possible. That's why it's important to call an attorney and call the law offices of O.C. Brown.
At the law office of O.C. Brown, we're a family-owned firm. We want to be your law firm for a lifetime.
ServiceMaster Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact ServiceMaster Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. ServiceMaster Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
Starting in 1974, Central Plumbing has served Baton Rouge and surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Through these tough and trying times, we want you to remember that the Payne family is here to continue to support and serve you. As a multi-generational business, there is no job that is too big or too small. Residential, commercial, industrial, hospitality, we're here for anything you need. 24/7, 365. Give us a call, 225-925-8552.
It's no secret. The best oysters in Baton Rouge are at Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar. Enjoy mouth-watering South Louisiana flavor and oysters from all over the country. And don't forget our nightly drink specials. Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar, located in downtown Baton Rouge.
Eli's always been into grilling. It took us a while to see it, but the signs were there.
What are you doing, Eli?
I knew grilling was my thing. I have been talking about it throughout my career.
Happy with the results?
I am. Got the new grill from barbecueguys.com. It performed great.
My advice, as I always told my boys,
do more of what you were born to do.
Barbecue Guys, for those who were born to grill.
You want cheese on your burger, Pops?
I'll take a little cheese.
Le posso offrire un caffè. Andiamo insieme da me.
Coming up on Fridays, Off the Bench. Who will start at quarterback for the Saints on Sunday, and therefore who will beat the Dirty Birds? Plus the latest in the LSU coaching search. Off the Bench, 104.5 ESPN.
Hunt and Hill, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Back here on a Throwback Thursday edition of Hunt and Hill. Every single week after we recap the old game, we bring in a player who was on the field in that one. It's our pleasure now to bring on Tiger quarterback Jordan Jefferson. Jordan, how are you? Welcome to the show.
I appreciate you guys inviting me, man. I'm looking forward to joining you guys. I definitely heard some great stories on this show, so just looking forward to having a good conversation.
Yeah, man, we appreciate you hanging in there. We're doing pretty well. Obviously, we want to talk about the game. It was just an absolute classic, and we just went through it. But I want to ask about you personally. Obviously, being away from the playing field for the first month and a half of that season after being the starting quarterback for a couple of years at LSU, what was that like for you over that 6-week period?
Over that 6-week period, it was a great experience, man. I mean, you're always learning, always growing, and just really living through moments that are very transformational.
So let's talk about the game. Jarrett's the starting quarterback. He comes in, and in the first quarter, he throws an interception. You're inserted into the game after that. Was there a plan as to who was going to take snaps in that game that you remember, or was it just that Jarrett looks a little rattled, he threw an interception, let's see what Jordan can give us?
I think it's more just trying to change the tempo, change the momentum, and the coaches definitely understand my abilities, and they knew what I was capable of. So I think it was just a moment that they felt it was a great time to make that type of decision.
Talk about the atmosphere and Brian Denny just being in that back and forth rocky game. Talk about what it's like playing in that environment.
It's a good environment. Just being the away team coming into a stadium that is very hyped, that's very into the game. They show a lot of passion. To be honest with you, the away opponents, we feed off of that. That brings us a sense of energy when a whole crowd is kind of doubting you. So to go there and kind of show them wrong, to show them different, or just to show the world, you're capable of accomplishing something great is a great atmosphere. I mean, a lot of the fans get into it. They have their chants. The band gets into it. It's a great experience.
Jordan Jefferson, our guest, former Tiger quarterback, talking about LSU and Alabama and the win in Tuscaloosa back in 2011. Obviously, the option was a huge play for y'all in that game. You went to it early in the first half, and it really worked most of the game, that speed option to Michael Ford, and obviously it was a huge play in overtime. Was that something you figured would have success against that Alabama defense?
That was a part of the game plan going into that week. We knew that we had some advantages getting to the edge with their defensive style. They were more of a A-gap and B-gap style of run stopper. So getting to the edge, stretching their linebackers and defensive linemen to make them run the field a little bit, we definitely saw an advantage in our preparation for that game.
Talk about some of those guys on that Bama defense, man. I look back at that game, and it just seems like an NFL team that they tried it out there to play in 2011.
Absolutely. It was NFL players on both sides of those games, and just to eventually, meet those guys and build relationships with the guys, you understand that they had the same, objectives, the same determinations that we had at LSU. So, it just created, a very moment to where you can just feel the passions of college football. And the defensive linemen were great. They had great coaches that were able to develop that type of personnel. So when you sit back and look, it was great football being played from both sides.
What went through your head when Drew kicked that game winner in overtime?
We accomplished something great. And obviously, Alabama is one of those schools that you circle on the schedule that will be challenging. But once you cross over that hump, you have a lot of opportunities in regards to getting into the SEC championship and then moving forward to the national championship, because Alabama is one of the biggest opponents on our schedule. Obviously, we know they'll be undefeated by the time we get to that week. And as long as we come out with a victory that week, we have a lot of opportunities moving forward.
Jordan Jefferson as our guest, former Tiger quarterback, talking about LSU and Alabama back in 2011. When you remember that 2011 team, what is your thoughts on their legacy?
A lot of talent.
Yeah.
A lot of guys that had very, very high goals. That team, we held ourselves accountable. We challenged each other. We experienced a lot of adversity together, but we were able to do something that was very special in regards to school history, And when you sit back and look and see the guys that were able to go to the NFL and have the careers that they had, and guys that were also able to just grow and develop from those years of being college players, it's just a beautiful experience to be in. And I'm just grateful to have those experiences and see guys flourish and transform into who they are today.
Obviously, everyone in the country sees the success Georgia is having with Kirby Smart, and obviously we all know what Nick Saban brings to the table as a college coach. What was it like, preparing to go against those guys as an offensive player, knowing that they're going to scheme up some defense?
You definitely have to study. You have to be on your P's and Q's and make sure that the game plan is efficient for us to be able to go out and execute. So it's a lot of scheming. It's a lot of studying. It's a lot of finding key points in regards to their personnel, in regards of the discrepancies of the team, if it's special teams, offense, or defense. So it's a big scheme, man, and it's honestly a chess game that's being played on Saturdays in regards of the coaching. And player-wise, you have to do a lot of film study, just studying guys' movements, studying guys' strengths and weakness on the field. And you're able to find those things if you really study. So it always helps when you go out on Saturdays and actually know your opponent. It got to the point to where, I used to know guys' first and last names on the defense, as long as the other players around me, just by studying, the actual, game plan packet.
Jordan Jefferson, our guest. Jordan, catch everybody up with what you're doing these days.
I'm into a more sports management role now. Been spending a lot of time in Minnesota, building Justin's brand.
Sure.
Assisting him with a lot of his opportunities moving forward. We had a great experience around August. We developed his first charitable event. We did a backpack event in the north side of Minnesota. We gave out 100 school bags to 100 families that came by and really had a great time with us. So I'm in a more sports management role in the midst of developing other opportunities around the brand.
Man, we really appreciate some time. All the best to you and the whole family. Thanks so much.
I will appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you for the invite. Good luck moving forward.
Appreciate it. That's Jordan Jefferson, former Tiger quarterback up there. This is his brother's doing some awesome work, and it sounds like he's doing some great stuff up there as well.
Yeah, his brother been cooking on my fantasy team all year, and I appreciate that. Thank you, Jets. Thank you, Jets. I appreciate your kind donation. But yeah, man, you gotta love the work that they're doing around Louisiana. Just seeing that family just be bleeding purple and gold, from Jordan to Ricky to Jets. It's a beautiful family, and I cheer them on any chance I get.
Still got a lot to say about this game. We'll come back and talk more about it next. It's Throwback Thursday presented by AccuTemp on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hunt Palmer, Jeremy Hill, Hunt and Hill. In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
This isn't just another day. It's so much more. Kelly's life was put on hold when her auctioneer primary care doctor discovered a rare blood disorder. Her doctor connected her to an auctioneer care team of cancer, heart, and kidney specialists. With multiple primary care locations around Baton Rouge, same-day appointments, and online scheduling, we're relentless about keeping you healthy. Auctioneer Baton Rouge, innovating healthcare for Kelly.
Front to Back Boat Service has been family owned and operated for 30 years. And the Sherman family is NMEA certified. That's the National Marine Electronics Association at Front to Back. They are committed to improving the safety and technology of marine electronics through installer training, interface standards. And look, the fall and the winter, it's the perfect time to do that yearly maintenance you've been putting off. Get those parts you've been wanting. So schedule your appointment today at Front to Back North Airway off of Airline Highway.
Tonight, we invite you to celebrate life, wherever and whenever you can, understanding that time is never on our side. Instead, gather up your friends tonight and share a few stories and laughs over a good bottle of wine. Or maybe a family meal that gives everyone a chance to reconnect and remember what's really important, whether it's for a birthday, an anniversary, or simply to remind someone special that they are loved. Rafino's, where Louisiana comes to celebrate life.
Yo, Jake here for Patient Plus Urgent Care Clinic, the place that's going to be convenient for you during an inconvenient time. Look, you hear me talk about my 4 boys all the time, and sometimes things like stitches, well, they happen. And in fact, they have. And Patient Plus is always taking care of us, just like they'll do the same for you. And now with 7 convenient locations across the Baton Rouge area, open from 9 a.m. until 9 p.m., 7 days a week. And also at PatientPlusUC.com, you can sign up for your appointment on the way to the clinic. That's Patient Plus Urgent Care Clinic. Get in and get better.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Are you a licensed contractor? There's lots of good contractors in Louisiana doing work the right way, but unfortunately, too many unlicensed contractors are working outside the licensing requirements. Working as a contractor in Louisiana requires a license for the company doing the work. The Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors wants to help you get licensed to allow you to conduct work legally. It's not difficult to get the license.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona inviting you to join us for Thursday's AFR presented by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana. Michael Thomas out for the season. How do the Saints proceed? And we'll preview Saints Falcons with Mike Triplett. Join us, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hunt and Hill on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
I want to remind you again about AccuTemp's deal. They're giving back. They're offering the friends and family discount, which means you can save over $4,000 on a new AC unit. That's one of the most expensive pieces in your entire house. You want to save $4,000? Call AccuTemp. They can get your new AC up and running for as low as $80 a month with the payment plans they can offer. AccuTemp, AccuTempBR.com. They give you service to the highest degree. We're talking about LSU and Alabama in 2011, the game of the century, because I'm not done really talking about it. That's a game that I covered from the press box, was down on the field for overtime. It's something I will never forget. It was, and I mean this, an absolute spectacle. There were celebrities all over the field. Snoop Dogg was there. Vince Vaughn was there. It was a who's who down there on the sidelines, and the LSU atmosphere in 2012 was unbelievable. You obviously played in that game, and it was sensational. But that was a revenge-oriented thing, and it was a little bit different scene. This was a game that everybody had been pointing to for 7 weeks. We knew we were getting it, and because of the nature of the game and how low the score was, anyone who scored a touchdown in that game was going to win. So when Claiborne picks that ball off, I'm thinking, go score. Barron the same way for Alabama. You know, any play, the 2019 game was crazy, but you didn't feel like you were done when the other team scored. You just had to go score again. Like, that's just how that one worked. This one was, if you score a touchdown, like, this thing's cooked.
Yeah.
That creates an environment unlike many you'll see in football, and it's not for everybody, and some people that didn't have a skin in the game didn't appreciate it. I sure did.
Oh yeah. That game, and the more hindsight, obviously, is 2020. But if you look at the amount of NFL guys on both of those defenses, you find out pretty quick why it's hard to score, man. Everywhere you look, cornerback, D-line, linebacker, safeties on both sides of the ball, just every level. There's dudes everywhere. So as an offense, it makes things so hard. You got guys who are Pro Bowlers, guys who's getting paid a ton of money. It makes things very, very hard, and you got to, be functioning at an all-time high level, and that's just not what the case was that day. Just everything was stingy. Every big play seems like it was going to be the play that broke the game open. I got so scared when Trent broke into the open field. I'm like, get him on the ground, get him on the ground. Got to get him on the ground.
Scariest dude I've ever. I mean, McFadden was like that, and Tebow was like that. But when they broke the huddle and Trent Richardson was on the field, I thought he was going to score a touchdown on every play. He was terrifying in college.
Yeah, that's what I was just saying in the Bayou for chat. They're like, Richardson sucks. He's a bust. I'm like, oh, he was just a Heisman finalist. Almost rushed for 2,000 yards. Probably had one of the most embarrassing runs in college football history against Ole Miss, shaking dudes on the ground and just speed, power, everything you could ask for in a running back. He was that dude. And then you had all those receivers and McCarron running the show. They just had it all, man, and that's why they won the national championship that year.
It's like saying, man, that Eddie Furness was a bust. I mean, yeah, he wasn't good in the pros. He didn't become a pro baseball player. He's a doctor, but he led the SEC in hits and doubles. So he was a pretty good college player, and there's something to be said for that. He was absolutely sensational. Another point I want to make is that Brad Wing in this game, him not winning the Ray Guy is one of the most gross injustices I've ever seen in an award circuit. He dominated the West Virginia game, and then in this game, he pins Alabama inside the 5 twice in the first half, and then with 9 minutes to go in the biggest game in regular season history for either program, he boots a 73-yarder from the shadow of his own goalposts to make sure that Alabama can't kick a field goal and win the game at the end of regulation. He was a massive part of this game that, I think people remember the huge punt, but they don't necessarily remember the 2 he downed inside the 5. One, it bounced out of bounds at the 5. The other one, he floated up in the air for Ron Brooks to go up there and catch it at the 3. He was just brilliant the entire year, and even in that game.
Yeah, just phenomenal defensive back play. You need that, especially in those games like that. They're at the fringe, they're at the red zone, they're about to punch it in. You got to have guys out there making plays, and that's what we had in that secondary, man. I think that's kind of when DBU was undeniable at that point. Just too many dudes out there making plays, and guys going on to the next level to continue to make plays. That's how you get that name.
It's a shame that what happened 2 months later sullies this, because it was that big. It was that incredible. Now, I think we saw probably a more realistic result in the Superdome than we did that night in Tuscaloosa. I tried to paint that picture. Alabama executed some plays. They moved the ball. LSU's defense rose up in the red zone, and that's a huge thing. But LSU's offense really didn't do anything outside of run a few options the entire time, and we were blinded by the machine that was LSU for the 13 games leading up to it. But the signs were there. You didn't really move the ball at all against Alabama, and then against Georgia, you didn't get a first down in the first half. You went 3 and out on every drive in the first half. You should have known that scoring a point was going to be difficult in the Superdome, and it proved to be impossible. They didn't even get close. It doesn't take away from some of the things that they accomplished, but it does at the end. You realize, man, they were just one little piece short.
Yeah, and I think that's the biggest indictment to the Les Miles era is that you obviously saw you didn't have much success, and then you come back and you run the same stuff over and over, and that's a Nick Saban coach football team. That's a Kirby Smart coach football team. They've had months to study that tape. They saw that speed option months and months and saw the film. They broke that down. You got to build stuff off of it. You have to, as an offense, you got to see, hey, maybe they're doing something about that option that we ran on them and almost won the game on. So that, to me, is like, if I'm a coach, that's the way I'm thinking, always thinking counter. I luckily got coached by Bill Belichick. That's all he talks about is counter the counter. Got to keep countering the counter, and that's what the best coaches do.
So I'll never forget a lot of things about that game. I will also never forget, as you mentioned, that option, the first option LSU ran in the national championship game. And Jordan optioned out, and he pitched it, and Alabama had about 14 defenders swarming the running back when he pitched it. And the Alabama side of the Superdome just erupted because everyone knew, that's what LSU was able to do, and that was about it in the first game. And in the national championship game, Les was just kind of waiting on Tyron to rip the ball free, or Claiborne to jump a route, or Mingo to strip sack, or Tyron to run a punt back. He was just waiting for that play that had broken the dam so many times. It happened against Oregon when Tyron ripped a punt out. Happened against West Virginia when Mo ran the kick back. Tyron had a play before the half where he almost scored a touchdown. Obviously, Arkansas, Tyron runs the punt back. Georgia, Tyron runs 2 punts back. He was waiting on that play that Morris gave him in Tuscaloosa. It never happened. But still, that night in Tuscaloosa was an all-timer.
Oh, man, just one for the ages. So there's a reason why StubHub had those tickets at $10K a pop, man. Those things are out of control. It's just that game had so much hype, so much build-up. You throw in Nick, used to coach at LSU. Now you got something cooking, and that's what that game was, man. I'll never forget that game. Just one for the ages. Just sucks we had to rematch them that year. That's the unfortunate part about it.
Very, very sad. Come back and close out a Thursday edition of Hunt and Hill next.
This is Hunt and Hill on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
I got cash for you. Free money. Who doesn't want free money? I got $100 in free site credit over at FanDuel because sports betting is coming to Louisiana, and you need to download that FanDuel Sportsbook app on your phone. You register, verify right now. You'll get a free $100 bonus when the sportsbook goes live when you just put in the promo code WNXX. That's all you got to do. Put in WNXX. $100 free to bet on the FanDuel Sportsbook app. It's easy to use. They're always hooking you up with great offers. Those will continue to come. And when you win, you get paid in as little as 2 hours. It's the most important thing, right? So just download the FanDuel Sportsbook app. Register now. Get $100 in free site credit with the promo code WNXX. You got to be 21 and present in Louisiana. The bonus issued in non-withdrawable site credit that expires 7 days after the FanDuel accepts the first real wager in Louisiana. Unique user identity verification is required. The offer ends on the go-live date. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and needs help, call 1-877-770-STOP.
Our listeners fire up their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
This is a house call. This is a follow-up appointment. This is a diabetes checkup. This isn't just more convenient care, it's more advanced care. This is innovating healthcare at Louisiana's #1 hospital, Auctioner.
Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram are now open for business and are ready to serve our customers with disaster relief employee pricing off I-10 in LaPlace. If you need sales, service, or fleet, the crews at Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram are going to do right by you.
It is not too late. You can enroll today at ITI. Winter classes start November 17th. Our industry-driven curriculum will put you on a new career on a fast track. Enroll today for a better life.
If you're in an accident, a car accident, a slip and fall where you're injured, you need to call an attorney. The defendant insurance company, it's their goal to close the case as quickly as possible and pay out the least amount of money as possible. That's why it's important to call an attorney and call the law office of O.C. Brown.
At the law office of O.C. Brown, we're a family-owned firm. We want to be your law firm for a lifetime.
ServiceMaster Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact ServiceMaster Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. ServiceMaster Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
It's week 10 in the prep football season, and we get started Friday with Louisiana Prep Preview presented by Brock, the Baton Rouge Orthopedic Clinic, at 6 p.m. And we'll wrap up the night at 10 with a full 2 hours of the Lake Urgent Care Lake After Hours Louisiana Prep School Board Show on Your View, YouTube, and 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hunt and Hill on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Good Throwback Thursday this week. Been looking forward to that one for a while. One of my favorite games. I think a lot of people's favorite games. Sullied by the end, but that night was a special one to be in the purple and gold. So if you missed it, AccuTip will bring it to you. You can go to 1045ESPN.com and find it on demand, or you can go to YouTube. Bayou Ford drives that channel, and you can catch it right there. All of those Throwback Thursdays going back to the first week of the season, you can find right there on demand. Let's do some take it or leave it, Jeremy.
All right, let's do it. All right, Buster Posey. He plans to retire this Thursday from professional baseball. Are you taking or leaving Buster to be a first ballot Hall of Famer?
I'll take it. I don't know what the committee will do. He's a 7-time All-Star. He's the best offensive catcher of this generation, and a good defensive player. So, yeah, he's a 7-time All-Star and one of the most valuable player, has a couple rings. To me, he's a guy who deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. He was a ridiculous college baseball player. Wielding the metal bat. He pitched a little bit early in his career at Florida State. He was a stud at Florida State and was obviously a stud during an unbelievable run in San Francisco. Yeah, I'd have him in. What about you?
Oh, yeah, you definitely got to have him in. Obviously, I haven't been like a devout follower of baseball, but man, I know about Buster, and I know he's been behind that plate doing the duty for a very long time and just being a leader and having that seal on his chest, doing things the right way. So if you ask me, I definitely have to throw him in that Hall of Fame first ballot.
Odell Beckham Jr. excused from practice for the second day in a row. That's interesting. It's like he's in detention. He's excused from practice second day in a row. Are you taking or leaving? It's time for the Browns to move on from Odell.
I'll take it. Can we take this a million times? We got to move on, guys. We can't cut on ESPN every day. Can't cut the network on every day. And this is just a constant thing every day, over and over, week after week for the rest of the time. What are we going to do? If he's not going to play in the games on Sunday, why is he going to be on the roster? So I think it's best at this point to move on from all parties, give Odell a chance to move on and do something else, and let Odell move away from that Browns team and let Baker kind of be the leader and run the show. I just think it's time.
Odell. What do you think's the deal here?
He just wants the ball, man. He wants opportunity to show he's still an elite receiver in this league, and I don't think Baker has given him that chance. Obviously, Odell has to do his part as well. There's some drops and some plays he'd probably love to have back this season, but I'm sure it goes vice versa for Baker. There's times Odell's been open and he hasn't found him. So when things aren't clicking, it's easy to point the finger, and you see the turmoil going the way it is with Odell's dad and now Baker's wife's liking tweets and all these things. It's just a never-ending ugly cycle, and I think at this point it's just beyond repair. You got to move on. Let Baker be the leader of the Browns and run the show, and let Odell go do his thing somewhere else. All right. Nick Castellanos is opting out of his contract with the Cincinnati Reds with 2 years and $34 million left on the deal. Are you taking the leave in the Cubs? We'll take a swing at the star outfielder.
Let me prepare myself. Take it!
I'll take it.
We need guys to swing the bat. Castellanos came after the trade deadline. He loved being in Chicago. He mashed bombs all over the place for 2 months after the trade deadline. Went to Cincinnati. They stink. He doesn't want to be there. The Cubs need to spend some money. Go get a guy that can hit some homers. They're not going to do it. They're cheapskates. They're not doing anything. They're building around 17-year-olds. It's driving me nuts. They need to sign this guy.
I'll take it.
There you go.
ESPN.com says Sam Howell of North Carolina is a dark horse to become a Heisman finalist. 19 touchdowns, 7 picks this year, thrown for about 2,100 yards. Taking or leaving North Carolina quarterback to be a Heisman finalist.
No.
Somebody's got to be a Heisman finalist.
Somebody has to. But I think there's some names you can point to before old Sam Howell. Obviously, I think they're hyping up this chance with Wake Forest this Sunday. It's a big game, prime time for them to knock them off and give them a loss. But there's plenty other names I would point to before Sam Howell being a Heisman finalist. I just can't put him up there quite yet. All right, last one here. All right, we got Chris Paul. He becomes the third all-time leader in the NBA with career assists. Are you taking or leaving CP3 to be a top 3-point guard all time?
This discussion changes. I don't know if it's right or wrong, but it changes if last summer goes differently.
Yeah.
And he just gets a lot of heat for not winning. And I think he probably is. Obviously you're going to put Magic in there. Everybody loves Stockton. there's a lot of really good point guards that you start to lump in right after that, and Chris Paul to me is right in that mix. I would say yes. I would defer to you as more of an NBA guy. I think the no titles makes people squirm, and to me, that's probably not fair. Not like John Stockton won one either.
Yeah, I think the two guys that I would put in there, but it just depends on what day you ask me, and I think the titles is what puts it over the top. Got to throw Steph Curry right there, and then I think you got to throw Isaiah Thomas. Just to do what Isaiah did in the 80s, and you beat Magic, you beat Bird, you beat Jordan, and then you go win it all as a point guard, as a Finals MVP. That's extremely impressive, and I think Steph just changing the game forever. Got kids in their backyard trying to launch it from the other side of the yard. It's just a different impact on the game of basketball. But CP3 is right there, man. I think he's top 5. You can make a case for him, but he's right on the edge. I think if obviously, like you said, if he wins that championship last year, it's undeniable. You got to put him up there, because who would you rather have running your show as a point guard than CP3, man? He does a phenomenal job.
For sure. Where does this Throwback Thursday rank among the ones we've had?
Oh, man.
There's been some older ones that were like before your time. This is when you were at.
Yeah, this one's up there, man. I think because this game is so vivid for me. It's like right before I became a college football player, and I just remember it so well. And just having that hindsight now to see how important, how many guys went on to play big boy football. Yeah, that game's up there.
If you missed it, AccuTent brings it to you. You can catch it on demand, 1045ESPN.com. We'll be back for a Football Friday tomorrow. Matt's driving you home from 3 to 6 on After Further Review. Jimmy Ott's Game Time from 6 to 8. The boys with your early line, Mario and Musso. That's coming up next. Thanks to Casey and Taylor for their hard work. We will see you tomorrow on a Football Friday edition.